Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wrestling fans of all ages, welcome back to the Popcorn Match Podcast, where we review Night 2, Wrestlemania 42. Exactly, Finley. So, just finished up watching WrestleMania 42, and Night 2 was way better than Night 1, that's for sure. So, we'll kind of jump right into it and go over what occurred throughout the night. So, the first match, the big hype was Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar. Will Brock let Oba go over? Will it be a squash match? How will it go down? Well, the big surprise was Oba did squash Lesnar and got the dub. Man, was it exciting to see a passing of the torch moment. And then Brock got his own flowers as he retired in the ring by taking off his MMA gloves and then his wrestling shoes. And he thanked the crowd and the fans, soaked it all in, hugged Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman cried, and then he left, rode off in the sunset. Honestly, though, even though it looks like he retired, I feel like that Saudi money is going to, lure him back, as it does to a lot of wrestlers. Talking about you, Shawn Michaels. Now, that was fantastic to see. Oba Femi, the next big thing, passing of the torch. Now he's calling out Roman Reigns next. Man, exciting times for him as they found their next big megastar. Now, continuing on, we had the IC match for Penta's Intercontinental title. It was an amazing ladder match, a callback to the one they had probably about 10 years ago. It was pretty exciting back then, too. So we had Penta with Dragon Lee, and we had Rey Mysterio, Javon Evans, Rusev, and then we had J.D. McDonough. What an exciting, explosive match. Really showing the power of AAA with a lot of the guys that wrestled for them. And then a lot of shine for each one of the competitors. I honestly thought that Rusev cut his head open when Rey Mysterio did his move and jumped through the ladder with him. Honestly, I thought that was it. And then Penta at the very end, man, it was exciting to see him do the Mexican Destroyer, one of his finishers. The way he just sprung off the ladder to hit it, that was like an exciting moment to see. But Penta retained the title, which was surprising. I thought maybe they would go with Javon Evans just to give him, the accolade of being the youngest Intercontinental Champion in history. But regardless, a super exciting match to really get the crowd fired up as the rest of the night goes on. So, continuing onwards and upwards. I'm just going to kind of go over things that I remember, things that I saw, things that I like. So, we're going to continue onwards. So, we had Dirty Dom, and then we had the Demon, Finn Balor. Now, this was interesting. I liked the entrances for both guys. I really enjoyed Finn Balor having that really cool, screen of, souls trying to, get out of it. I thought that was exciting to see. So, it was a neat moment. His entrance was definitely unique for the Demon, but it was honestly a cool moment. So, we got a pretty good match between both guys, and then we had the finish with Finn Balor beating Dirty Dom. Honestly, I think for now, Dom's going to end up kind of on a losing streak and probably lose the title to El Grande Americano eventually at Triple Mania, which will be in August. So I think that this will be a steady decline, only for Dom to climb back up to higher on the card as the year progresses. But that was an exciting time and really excited to see where they go with this. We had Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley. Now, this was an interesting but fun match as well. Rhea looked a little healthier than she has been coming out. Obviously, she said that she has an eating disorder, so sending good vibes her way that she overcomes it. But she looked great in this match, and Jade did all right. She plays her character smug very well. If that's really her personality, then that's, cool. But we had Jade Cargill dominate most of the match. Then we had some shenanigans as Rhea started coming back with Michin and B-Fab coming out. And then we had Io Sky come out and do a crazy moonsault. Almost lose her top when she did so. And then she did her finger point emoji thing that she does, which fires up the crowd. And then Rhea, countered Jade and ended up getting the finish. And we got Rhea Ripley as the new champion. So that was pretty exciting to see as well. So happy for Rhea. And then obviously where they go from there, who knows? But we got Rhea's champ. Maybe Io, does a heel turn on her. But we'll see. But they celebrated together, and that was a nice moment. We had John Cena come out to announce the attendance, which was more than yesterday, with a grand total of over 100,000 for both days when you add them up. That was pretty exciting to see. Then we had The Miz and Kit Wilson. So some shine for Kit Wilson on the grandest stage of them all come through. And they wanted their WrestleMania moments. And then, of course, John Cena was kind of playing the, all right, well, take your moment, shtick. And then, sure enough, who comes out? Danhausen. Michael Cole said a questionable thing on commentary, but said that they asked to be called that. But it was like a really awkward thing for them to even say on the air. But I don't know if there'll be some flack from, different communities and people kind of backlashing of what happened. But Michael Cole did say, that they asked to be called a name that they did. But it is what it is. So Danhausen comes driving out there in like a coffin mobile. The crowd's getting into it. Then he gets in there and he introduces himself to John Cena, and everybody's laughing. Michael Cole's like dying laughing. He's like making snorting sounds, and King Barrett, Wade Barrett, called him out on it. So we had this weird segment, and then Danhausen had his like little minion Hausens beat up um, Kit Wilson, and then he punched the Miz in the groin, and that was like the big thing. And then he like told John Cena, "You can't see me," and then a weird puff of smoke, and then he like ran out of the ring with his minions, and they all climbed under the ring, and then John Cena's like, "Well, that was weird," and he's like, "Only at WrestleMania," but he was dying laughing too, so that was interesting to see. So we continue on, and we got the main event of WrestleMania. So we had CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, Tribal Chief. And they had a nice, graphics on there. They only showed as far as if you were on TV, so you can only see Alpha and Sika, and then you saw High Chief Peter Maivia and Yokozuna, but they had Umaga on one side, and I'm not sure who else on the others. But that was cool. They had this really grand entrance for Roman. He looks chiseled, better, healthier than he has been, so hopefully everything's going well as far as his personal life. He comes out, does his big entrance, has the crowd acknowledge him, and then CM Punk gets this really cool graphic. But honestly, the way they did it at first, it made me kind of think Hollywood Rock was going to come out, because they had like the flying over the city and stuff, and just reminded me of The Rock. So we get to the main event here. CM Punk comes out, big pop, has different people that worked for WWE on his shirt that ended up passing away that he wanted to show, have a tribute for, and had Larry on there. That was really nice to see. We get to the match. It's a slow burn kind of match. It wasn't like too, high paced for the most part. More just like talking shit between both guys. So we get towards, the end of it, and Roman is beating the shit out of CM Punk. He's all bloodied up, and it's, it's okay. At some point, Roman hit him with the steel steps, which I didn't understand because it wasn't, described as like a no disqualification match. And then even the commentators were kind of confused, and they're like, well, they should really call out this match. So I didn't understand what that was and like how they got away with it. It was kind of like a really stupid scenario, but it is what it is. So Roman, eventually gets GT'd us a few times, and they go back and forth, and it's like a battle between both guys. And then CM Punk hits one GTS, and he goes for a second and collapses. And then Roman picks him up and does this big spear and pins Punk, and then gets this big celebration. He gets the belt. It's funny as he called that belt like a cheap prop compared to the other two or whatever it was, like a year ago or 2 years ago when he was on top of the WWE Universal belt. But anyway, Roman Reigns wins the World Heavyweight title. The fireworks, the crowds are going ecstatic, and everybody's just kind of waiting to see what happens. He goes out, hugs his kids, which was nice to see, gives his wife a kiss, gets back in the ring, poses, fireworks go off, and then the show ends. There's no big twists, no big surprises. Maybe they'll save that for Raw. I know they did when I was leaving, they had like the post-show scrum. And Obafemi, they asked him, like, what's next? And he said he wants Roman by the end of the year. So it looks like they'll build that towards maybe next WrestleMania? I don't know. Seems, I'm not really sure where they can go from here. I mean, Oba just beat Brock. So they can't really just not have him go and squash people. And there's not really anybody that has the aura of Brock Lesnar that can pass the time until Oba gets the title shot, right? So they kind of put themselves in a pickle. I mean, maybe they have Gunther as a placeholder in the time being. And then they can do Gunther's retired a few of the legends. Oba just retired a legend, so they can go from there. And then Oba eventually gets a shot against Roman. But either way, much better night two. I'm sure I missed a match there or something that happened, and I'll put it in the comments down below. But I was just thinking as I drive home with my son, just my thoughts about WrestleMania. So night one, dud. Night two, awesome. So overall, we'll just give it like, a thumbs up. Could have been better, could have been worse. No big surprise at the end, no big twist. Sending good vibes to Cody Rhodes' way as he got messed up from the punt kick. But overall, WrestleMania is done and over with. Now we're going to do the build towards SummerSlam, and we'll see what happens from here. But overall, like I said, thumbs up as an event. Happy to, be a part of another WrestleMania and view it with my family. But on the road. Now, make sure that we, take care of one another and each other, right? Take care of yourself. Take care of friends, family. Always be the hardest worker in the room. Study hard, eat and sleep plenty. That's the Turtle Hermit way, right? As Master Roshi would say. But honestly, just enjoy yourselves. God bless. See you down the road. Like and subscribe and comment down below. Thanks. Bye.